Heading to Queensland, heading north, Clive Palmer has criticised opposition leader Ms Frecklington following her stoush with the LNP leadership. In a tweet, Palmer says, "Sad to see LNP leader Ms Frecklington today publicly attacking her own party when she should be focusing on the state election at this critical time." Well, that comment is hardly surprising from Palmer, given Frecklington has spoken out against backroom forces in the LNP who want her gone. And one of those forces, it's alleged, is the LNP president himself, who, if you can believe this, is actually employed by Clive Palmer. There's a whole lot of internal games going on in Queensland as well. And of course, Clive Palmer is a likely competitor to the LNP in the upcoming October state election. Joining me now is Ms Frecklington, the opposition leader in Queensland. Well, I listened very carefully,
Good evening, Peter.
Ms Frecklington, to your comments about taking on the backroom operators. How has that gone down with your colleagues?
Well, very well, Peter. And like I said a couple of days ago, I'm the leader of the LNP here in Queensland and I'm here to stay. Now, I went into party room on Monday and I got an overwhelming response of endorsement to the leadership, both myself and Tim Mander. And that's driven because, Peter, Tim and I have been able to outline a visionary plan for Queensland. And quite frankly, our enemy is the Palaszczuk government and we've got a lot to fight them on. I've said many times, and I've said it to you before, Peter, I mean, the Palaszczuk government is a terrible government. And I've got, my desire is to see Queensland back in the hands of the LNP so we can get Queensland working again. It's as simple as that.
I guess the difficulty is, I don't think there's been a day since February, since this COVID-19 stuff broke, that the Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, hasn't been out in the media sucking up as much oxygen as she can going into this October campaign. But the moment you spoke, she's nowhere to be seen. She's gone silent. She's allowing the LNP, I think, to hang themselves with all of these internal ructions. I've seen a lot of your power brokers up there in the past. I've had a lot to do with Clive Palmer. I don't think I've ever seen, other than Malcolm Turnbull, a more volcanic character, temper-wise, up close. Now, what on earth are a lot of your LNP presidents, past presidents, party-connected people, members of your executive doing, working or taking Palmer's coin if Palmer's going to be a rival in October's election?
Well, and that is a very good point. And this is why I have come out and said I'm not going to be intimidated by these backroom boys, because ultimately our enemy is the Labor Party. I have the full support of my party room and what I need to do is take it up to the Palaszczuk government, not to spend our time, our precious little amount of time before this next election, with internal fighting. That's not the way I operate. I believe these issues should be fought out behind closed doors, if at all. And that was my point exactly. I mean, I'm not going to sit back and have some people who are unnamed, they haven't put their name to it, leak to the papers, Peter. I mean, I'm not going to sit by and let that happen. I am my own person. I'm not beholden to anyone. I work extremely hard and very closely with my team because we are driven for one point, and that is to take government on October 31st. I mean, again, Anastasia Palaszczuk is the Premier of a state that has the highest unemployment rate in the nation, business bankruptcies galore, lowest business confidence, and no plan to get us out of the economic quagmire that we're in because of COVID. That's the fight that I'm looking forward to taking up. I mean, I'm not going to be taking criticisms and comments from other political parties because I can take them because that's my job. But, when it comes to my own party, I'm going to stand up for what's right. And that's me being my own person, leading a parliamentary team that is extremely supportive of the direction that I'm trying to take Queensland.
I guess the worry for me is that if I look at the numbers, I can count 4, maybe 5 current president, past presidents, executive members who not only are there representing the LNP in the backrooms of the LNP, but they're also, as I say, taking Clive Palmer's coin. So has there been a takeover or a merger of the LNP with Clive Palmer? And isn't this exactly what Palmer tried to do with Campbell Newman. You know, fronted up and said, well, now you're Premier Campbell Newman, you'll do as I say. Is part of the reason the LNP warlords have come after you, we've seen this happen in Victoria, is because you won't do what Palmer tells you to do, and he's worried that should you win the election, he won't have a patsy as Premier.
Well, Peter, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. I am my own person and, you know, I'm not going to be pushed around or shoved around, you know, like the Premier is. Here in Queensland, Anastasia Palaszczuk, you know, gets bullied all the time by the union movement. And I've said I'm not going to be pushed around by outside forces. We've got to really look at what's at stake here. Another 4 years of Labor. Now, I can tell you, so many party members have reached out to me, grassroots members, local SECs who are sending in their, you know, their position of the local branches, saying, you know, keep up the good fight. You know, you are the person we want to lead into this next election, and that is why, Peter, we are taking up the fight to the Palaszczuk government. We've put out the economic plan. We're going to continue to announce those policies. You know, I love talking about big, bold policies like the new Bradfield scheme, building the second M1. You know, we really do need to start concentrating on the people of Queensland, and that's exactly what I intend to continue doing.